I'm Suzanne Rath, and this is Endures, your daily dose of endurance leadership and life. Now, in keeping with this first full week of 2026, we're still taking a little bit of a look back to 2025 and also envisioning where we want to be for the rest of this year and beyond. And just before Christmas, I presented a free webinar which was called Beyond 2026 9 Steps to Your Best Year Yet. And I wanted to share a little bit of the concept behind that with you in this episode today, and also 3 out of the 9 core questions that we asked on that webinar. So let's dive in. As you can see from this really convoluted model I'm sharing with you, so if you're not actually watching the video, there is a massive Venn diagram here, and this is what I call my performance advancement pathway. But you don't need to watch the video to know that there's 3 core outcomes that I am obsessed over. These are unstoppable momentum, unleashed potential, and unshakable focus. And to achieve these 3 core outcomes, essentially we have 9 major catalysts. Now, I see the 3 core outcomes as like the legs of a 3-legged stool. So without one phase of the outcome, we have no direction. Without another phase, we have no rhythm. Without another phase, we have no traction. So we need to have the momentum, the potential, and the focus to keep achieving life's ultimate summits. And if you're completely confused, do go back to my Substack or reach out to me and I'll share a copy of this model with you. But in the webinar and in the show notes, I will share a link to my newsletter so that you can click into that. I don't share heaps of spam. I don't share heaps of newsletter articles at all, but I am happy to share a copy of that 2026 webinar with you. But just to kick off with unstoppable momentum. And there are 3 major aspects here that we want to look at. So how do we envision our peak? How do we anchor conviction? And how do we activate our genius? And the question I have to start with for you is, how boldly do you imagine the legacy and fulfillment of your dreams? And then when we look at our second core outcome, which is unshakable focus, this is made up of this ability to calibrate and to accelerate. And there are a number of catalysts that contribute towards calibration. But we'll start with rhythm. So how do we design our rhythm? And my question for you is, how reliably do your days support focus? And then finally, for unleashed potential, we need to be able to ignite and to accelerate. And so to accelerate, we've got 3 core catalysts. We have the capacity to fuel spark, to amplify endurance, and to propel ascent. And so my question for you is, how well do you guard the things that bring you back to life? Now, this first week of the year, it's a time where often we forget what day of the week it is. In fact, on Wednesday, I was supposed to go to our local Toastmasters, and I realized at 5 p.m. that it was Wednesday and I actually couldn't make it. So if you are also in that state of not knowing what day of the week it is, if you're dragging yourself back into work, if you don't feel refreshed after the break, if you haven't had time to breathe over the holidays, never mind to reflect on 2025 or to think about your vision or goals for 2026, don't beat yourself up. You can start with these 3 core questions. You can sign up to my newsletter and get a copy of the webinar in my next bulletin, or you can just be kind to yourself this weekend and ongoing. So just to remind you of those 3 questions again. Question 1 is, how boldly do you imagine the legacy and fulfillment of your dreams? Question 2 is, how reliably do your days support focus? And question 3 is, how well do you guard the things that bring you back to life? I'll leave you with those for this beautiful Friday evening. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you tomorrow for more from Endures.